I am officially bulletproofed. Yes, that's why my skin is glowing and I'm looking ripped and jacked. It's because every morning I take my mycotoxin-free bulletproof coffee and mix it up with MCT oil and grass-fed butter. Why, do you ask? Well, it does a lot of things. It replaces my meal for the morning, and it gets my brain all the right nutrients they need. Those oils, that fat, and then I don't eat until 1 or 2 o'clock. So it's not really just coffee. It's turning into a lifestyle.
You know, when you were coming over here, I was thinking, since you were very much into food, I was thinking something my grandmother once said, which was, you know, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I mean, I remember telling Nick that you were bringing us some food over, and like, it sounds simple, but like we both were really excited, like to have someone cook for us. Awesome. Isn't that? And how come we have this like primal thing about getting excited about that?
I think it's just something about food. There's this, you know, that's, I guess when you eat, you have all these endorphins that get released, and they kind of bring this pleasure to the mouth, and it's a sensual experience. I mean, to me, food has always been like a sensual experience to your mouth, to your brain, to your stomach, to how you feel after eating it. And I guess it's in the same thing. If you eat too much, you feel really ill, and it makes you feel low. So I think it's, the thing about food is it's all to do with your senses. And especially Pakistani food and food in the East, if you see all the different ingredients we use are, you know, they make you feel hot and they make you feel cold, and you can feel them, you can smell them. And I find that in the West, the food is very interesting. It's very sort of, you know, I guess not as spicy or, you know, tasty is the same way that our food is. To me, that's how I feel. But there are levels of enhancement. If you go to like gourmet meals, if you go and have a Michelin star meal, there'll be other senses that'll probably, you know, attractive to look at and interesting flavors, but they're very subtle. So I think everything about food together brings about an experience. And anyway, for me, that's what's important. The experience of food is what makes me want to feel like living. And I think men, I guess it not just feeds your tummies, but I guess you get very excited about it. I don't know, you guys, you tell me. I mean, girls think very differently about food.
They do. I mean,
see, I think
I've
of
got
it.
a theory.
Yeah.
I think, you know, like one of the aspects of the feminine is that nurturing essence, right? And as men, like, well, in my personal experience, I'm more attracted to feminine women than I am to like androgynous or masculinized women. And I mean, when a woman makes you a meal, it's such a nurturing act. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and she's even more feminine. She's got like, I mean, if there's a girl in my apartment and she's making me dinner or something, it's like she's got that kind of goddess quality to her. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a caring kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's just my theory.
Especially in this day and age of like, you know, ready to make, you know, Tesco meals and stuff.
Yeah, probably it's that, and it's also that, you know, kind of, I guess in a way it kind of brings about that a kind of love for your mom that you have, you know, because she always used to make you these meals, and there's an association with how you felt when your mom made you those meals. Like you said, a nurturing feeling, a feeling of safety, feeling of love. And I think all of those things, if a woman cooks for you, I guess you feel those comfortable feelings that you probably did in your childhood. And I think food probably just because the first person that I've cooks for us is our mums. So I think maybe that's something about that. And I think a lot of, and it's not just women who cook really well. Of course, you know, men can be amazing cooks, not just chefs, but cooks as well. But in the, you know, in the long run, I guess that's what appeals to men when a woman cooks for them.
It just doesn't happen very often.
No.
It should start happening more often, right? Big shout out to Brian's girlfriend.
So you talked about like food in the East as far as in Pakistan and versus say food in the West. I mean, West is so general because you have food in France or food in England or food in the US. It's so different. But do people take their food more seriously or in a more ritualistic way in Pakistan? In the East or in Pakistan than say here?
Well, I guess in Pakistan, it's all about food. There's very little... Sadly, there's very little pleasure left in at least a country like Pakistan. I mean, India is slightly different, you know, it's more open society. But in Pakistan, you know, religious reasons, things have been a lot more closeted up. You know, you can't really drink in public, you can't really, you know, go out to clubs and stuff. So I think food has developed into such an experience and a part of life in our countries that really the only excitement is if you go to someone's house, you get an amazing meal and everyone gets really excited about it. If you're going out to eat, everyone says, oh my God, we're going out to eat or have a big biryani together and stuff like that. So food is a part of everyone's life in Pakistan in a big way, because that's one of the biggest pleasures we have. So it's a real ritual in our country. I mean, you go to someone's house, always about what's being cooked, and I know that's the same in the Western society, but for us, it's really very little pleasure. So
it's social as well.
It's a very, very social thing. So really, the only thing you can do is go out and eat.
Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting, isn't it? What's your relationship like with food?
It's pretty fucked up.
Well, I mean, because you trained as an athlete for a large point of your life, and I remember you said, I think on one of the podcasts, that it used to be, and I've been guilty of this in the past, that I need my 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass, and eating to you was more like to build a machine, right?
Man, it's to build a machine, exactly.
Right?
And it got to the point where, I mean, I wouldn't even consider the taste aspect of food. I mean, I saw something I already hated, like anchovies or something, but food was just designed to nourish my body and help me move towards my objectives. And I mean, my ex-girlfriend, she always used to say to me, she was like, you definitely have issues with food. And now I'm pretty chilled out now about it, but still, if I make a food choice, anything, whether I'm in a cafe or at someone's house or whatever, like the first thing I'll run it through that filter is like, does it have any trans fat in it? Does it have sugar in it? Do you know what I mean? And
me too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever change. Yeah, you do that as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, what's the protein value? Like, I was in the Lake District for New Year's, and I was up there, and it's very English, obviously.
Very.
And I want to get your opinion on English cuisine,
Absolutely.
and even if you offend some people.
A very strong opinion.
and I was just looking for a protein-based meal that was going to be somewhat healthy, like a steak or
Good
a piece,
luck.
a nice piece of like cod or not cod or sea bass or something with vegetables. And it was just like, good luck, you're not going to find that up there. And it was a little frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And then I visit my brother in Geneva, and down there it's very French, and like the food is much more of a ritual down there. And my brother's American, but he speaks French now. And I said to him, would you ever not have wine with dinner? And he just looked at me like I was smoking crack.